you might be interested in the graduate certificate and master in social change and development. So I'm the program convener for that program. So it's something that I'm sort of quite attached to, and I think it's a really interesting degree. And just pop in and talk whenever you like. But first, we will respectfully acknowledge the traditional custodians of Pambalong Can of the Awabakal people, on whose traditional land the Callaghan campus of the University of Newcastle is located, and will pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. So, I suppose the question why you're here today is thinking about, why you might want to do the Master of Social Change and Development. Or the grad cert. Were you interested in the masters or the grad cert?
The masters.
Excellent. Okay, so it's a really interesting program. I mean, it was designed to explore the implications of social and political changes at a global level. And one of the really good things about this course is that it has quite a nice balance of theoretical and practical coursework. So so you actually learn sort of hands-on skills around sorts of things you need to do to work in this particular area. So we teach you around things like program evaluation, about how to do research in particular settings. And the other thing about this particular program is it's taught by people, and I'll introduce you to some of the people who run this, who are active in the field. So people who are active researchers and bringing that knowledge, which is constantly being updated, back to share with students. So it's a very it's hands-on, and it's very topical in the sense that these people are actually out there doing this sort of research. And obviously you might be thinking about different career opportunities with this. Obviously, there's opportunities in community development. A lot of we've got sort of two groups of students. There's a group who are interested in international development, some of whom are already working in those particular areas. And there's an increasingly big group who's interested in development within Australia itself, so working in Indigenous or community settings in Australia. So that's also a key part of this. You might be interested in things like policy analysis. You might be interested in development programs, aid organisations, government departments, Australia and internationally. So, there's a lot of this sort of program develops a lot of skills. They're very transferable across different areas in terms of employment. A lot of people also use this to sort of bolster their position in a particular organisation and take on more responsibility. Things like taking responsibility for developing research in an organisation or something like that. We get good feedback from our students. This particular student said that studying the Master of Social Change and Development was life-changing. He learned about diversity, group dynamics, politics, development, and is what he needed to kickstart his career. And he would recommend this program to anyone who wants to make meaningful impact, either locally or globally. The University of Newcastle is inclusive, considerate, and gives international students a voice. So my advice would be to go for it. So we have a cohort, quite a large cohort of international students. We have an increasingly large cohort of domestic students who either take this as a face-to-face subject or they take it online. That's me. I'm the program convener. So I have overall responsibility for the management and quality of the program, and people contact me for academic matters. And talk to me about what sort of courses they should choose, and how we can particularly tailor this course to suit your particular interests. We also have a range of course coordinators, and these people that I've got pictured here organise one or more individual courses or subjects. There's Duncan Majuri Ra. He's a urban sociologist, and he does really interesting work on what he calls borderlands. So cities that are on the borders of countries and all the different sorts of things that happen in these particular places. So his particular place of interest is in the north of India. We've got Daniela Heil. She's a medical anthropologist, and she does work in New South Wales Aboriginal communities. And she also does really interesting work around cross-border surrogacy in Europe as well. And Dr. Randy Irwin is one of our casual lecturers. She's a development anthropologist, and she's worked in refugee settings across Africa. So she brings a huge wealth of knowledge to this. And I'm also an anthropologist. I'm a medical anthropologist, and I work in remote Indigenous settings. So I bring that sort of remote Indigenous experience to this course as well. We have a range of core courses. Those are the ones that you have to do. So the courses that you have to do are development and social change, which is a 20-unit course. Generally, that's the one that people will actually enroll in first. It's sort of the introductory unit. You've got social science research methods, which is the one I teach. And then you've got two linked courses here, project design and evaluation and social change and development research project. And in this one, you're actually doing sort of hands-on design of projects and carrying it on to sort of learning how to evaluate that project, and then tailoring a project that actually suits what you're interested in. So the other strength of this particular course is it can be really tailored to what you are interested in, and you can undertake projects that you think are particularly interesting or something that you're already engaged in. So this year we've had a huge range of different sorts of projects that are actually happening, from looking at the erosion on Stockton Beach to community garden projects, and some really interesting overseas projects as well. So there's been a huge amount of range, and people have really been able to develop stuff that really suits their needs. Our introductory course is Development and Social Change, and this is taught by Randy Irwin. And this one is around understanding the limits and possibilities of contemporary development, and situating those within a historical perspective. And students learn through studying a range of case studies, Haiti, Brazil, China, Western Sahara, Nepal, and France. And you work by looking at these concepts through these case studies. You work through some of the big concepts of development. When you finish this course, which is your introductory course, you'll become well versed in development-based approaches to population and health, infrastructure, natural resources, gender, race, and ethnicity. So it's a very good grounding course. We've got SOCA 6240, which is project design and evaluation. And that one guides students through each step of designing and evaluating a development project. Each student creates a project based on their own interests and becomes skilled in United Nations Development Programme's best practices. And students use this class, as I said before, to develop a project for implementation in the community. There's the subject I teach, which is 6640, Social Science Research Methods. And in this one, I introduce you to a range of different, mostly qualitative research methods. Some that you'll be, maybe quite familiar with, like interviews and focus groups and things like that. Others that you may be less familiar with. The students here, this was just last semester, were learning how to do a body mapping technique, which is an arts-based technique. And they were using this technique in this situation to explore, what the embodied experience of workers within supermarkets in the advent of COVID-19 was. So this was a very different way to explore a particular project. And students in this case found this really, a really incredible way to actually engage with the subject and to really sort of try to get to grips with what these particular people might be thinking and feeling. So we introduce you a range of those. We also make sure that you feel really familiar and confident with some of those more standard methods. So there's lots of practice doing interviews and analysing interviews, running focus groups, those sorts of things, thinking about designing questionnaires. Um, and I teach this as an online and face-to-face, and the face-to-face is actually intensive over 2 days of a weekend. And we're moving towards these intensives, as they seem to be a really good opportunity for students to work together on projects, and to make sure that all that learning is sort of situated within 2 days, and then that can be supported by um, online resources through the semester. And just to show you the sorts of work that students were doing, one of my students, Emily, who's the woman in the middle, she was doing some work. She's a lawyer by background, and she was doing some work investigating the 2019 Montara oil spill in Indonesia. And this is one of the largest oil spills in the history of Australian offshore petroleum industry, and it devastated a local fishing and seaweed farming villages in West Timor. And so she was coming into the Master of Social Change and Development thinking about, well, how can I build my skills to be able to participate in this particular project? And after her engagement in the program, she said that the program has helped her to know more about different and creative research methods. It's inspired her to apply new research methods at work. So she's developing a proposal for a photo voice project in West Timor so that local people can identify changes and resilience in their communities. It's helped her do her job better. So she's actually, feels that she's better at doing things like interviewing, analysing data and creating new projects. And one of the really key things about this is the development of cohort of people who are interested in the same things. So, to be able to benefit by engaging with people who, are interested in the same things, can share ideas and build ideas off each other. So that's really important as well. And this was one of the pictures from her project, which used photo voice to try to illustrate the particular problem in the community. And she says this is a photo of the seaweed farmer's ham in Tabalong village, West Timor. Seaweed is farmed off the beach of Tabalong and by hand. Since 2009, the seaweed has been sick and the villagers have lost a lot of income. Seaweed farmers say that they've developed itchy skin rashes since oil came into their seaweed farms. So in this, Emily's been able to apply a new method that she's learnt during the master's program and use it for particular emphasis in her research and in her work. We also have a range of directed courses which you can choose from. In fact, we have a very wide range of directed courses. I'm only going to introduce you to a few of these. We've got Duncan's course, which is environmental justice. And in this course, you study the relationships between environmental change and inequalities, the way that communities fight back, entanglements of development and environmental justice, and topics include things like land grabs, biopiracy, and water rights. This one again is going to be taught as a face-to-face intensive early in semester 2, but it's also online. You'll focus on case studies from different contexts, connect global, local and national space, and focus on dilemmas raised in the entanglements. And Duncan teaches it, and his contact details are there if you'd like to talk to Duncan about it. We also have international health, which is taught by Associate Professor Daniela Heil. And she looks at things like the commercialization of health, global health inequalities, diseases, global health players, health policies, questioning the brain drain, environmental changes, and medical pluralism. And as I said before, medical anthropology is Daniela's thing, so she's an expert in this particular field. And the other subject she teaches is gender and social change. Again, something that she has particular expertise in. So she looks at gender, social change, development goals, measuring gender equality and justice, gender inequalities, gender roles in education, poverty and gender, gender's perspectives of class formation and social change, hegemonic masculinity, male performance as the role of women and leader, gender equality, equity, and beyond. So that's just a few of our directed courses. There's actually a wide range, and you have a look in the handbook, you'll be able to see that there's courses that are taught within our School of Humanities and Social Science, but there's also a range of courses that are taught within education, within business, within the Wallatuka Indigenous Study Centre. So there's lots of different sort of courses you can take to pick up a degree that really, really suits what your particular interests are. Admission requirements, these are all in the handbook. Generally 80 units of a bachelor degree in a discipline area, with 2 years relevant work experience, 120 units in a non-discipline area, 80 units of a graduate certificate in a relevant discipline area, and 80 units of a Bachelor of Honours degree in a relevant discipline area. And we're talking about discipline areas including sociology, geography, anthropology, development study, environmental studies, education, social work, welfare. But in practice, all of these things are quite negotiable. So, people have come in with, quite different backgrounds, but quite a lot of experience in this particular field. So we've been able to admit them into the program as well. So it's, an admission will eventually come to me to approve. And, people who want to do this particular subject, can show me that they've got some relevant experience or relevant interests, or they've taken, courses within, quite different degrees, but that are focused towards this, we generally can admit them. A study load, full-time study is 40 units per semester. Part-time study is 10 to 20 units per semester. For international students, which you're not, you need to enroll full-time, and you need to talk to a student advisor or visit Student Central if you want to vary your course load. And every 10-unit course generally involves about 10 hours study a week, or at least that's a good planning thing to do. If you're doing the grad cert, you need to enroll in development, social change, social science research methods, project design and evaluation. And you need to do 3 core courses for a total of 40 units. For the masters, you need the core courses, the same, plus 6670, which is the social change and development research project. And that must be passed to fulfill the requirements of the program. And then you need 4 core courses for a total of 60 units. In terms of directed courses, you can do 6 or 2 directed courses, depending on what RPL or credit you've been awarded. And when you apply for admission is when you negotiate, whether you've got any recognised prior learning. And all students will complete 2 Group A directed courses. And the groups of different courses are actually listed in the handbook. So you can see Group A and Group B courses that you can choose from. You enroll full-time on campus by enrolling 40 units in each semester. If you're international, you must enroll full-time. Students studying online can complete the program full-time or part-time, so you can do 10 or 20 units each semester. And this is actually the pattern that people are generally most interested in because it fits in with people's work arrangements. The application deadline for semester 2 is the 19th of July, so it's coming up reasonably soon. And those are some of the fast facts. We've got intakes in semester 1 and 2. It's taught at Callaghan and online. You can move between those 2 modes if you need to. The IELTS are there. There's a range of different career opportunities, and the indicative fees are also there. And these are some handy numbers. if you've got any questions around enrolling, you can go to Ask UON, you can call 1-800-882-121, or you can go and visit Student Central to help you with your application as well.